Okay, so guys, I'm going to now share with you about this case of the fake saline vaccination. All right, so you can type in to the questions if you have anything. And before I start, I just want to thank all the supporters who've been supporting me over the past 3.5 years. Thank you so much for being part of this very important work that I'm doing for Singapore. And I'm very glad that a lot of things have come to light recently. So I thought it's important that I share with all of you. And if you would like to support my work, you can pay now to the number as listed above. I also have a crowdfunding website, which is at bit.ly/freeirisco2, or if you prefer to just pay now, is there. Okay, I ask for your support because it's quite hard to fight Goliath by myself, and currently I have a lot of bills to pay to my lawyer. Okay, so we just had 7 days of trials. So that is about 21,000. I've paid him 3,000 so far. So I've still got a bit more to go before I can pay him. Okay. But anyway, let's continue. I just want to add some disclaimer. Okay. My disclaimer is this. Alright. The following comments are based solely on publicly available information and court proceedings that have already taken place. I am not speculating on the outcome of the case, influencing judicial decisions, or making any statements that could prejudice ongoing legal matters. My intention is to provide factual updates and analysis for public awareness in accordance with legal and ethical standards. All individuals are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Okay, so that is the context in which I want to give my updates. As mentioned, I don't want to speculate because the judge is now making his judgment regarding the ancillary trial, what has happened. I just want to present to all of you what has happened in court, the factual things. And like I say, the presumption of innocence is for everybody. If I say I'm innocent, I'm not prejudging because that's my right. And everybody is presumed innocent until it can be proven by the prosecutor that we are not. Okay, so with this, I'm going to now start a little bit. Okay, so what I'm going to talk about today, I'm going to share with you, introduce the who's who in these criminal trials, and also share with you the witnesses which have been presented. And I'm going to concentrate only in the March trials, because we had 4 days of trials in December. That was last year, December 11, 12, 13, 14. I can't remember. Anyway, I can't remember the date. But anyway, it was 4 days in December. And we have 7 days of trials this March. We nickname it Season 2. Just our nickname because it's quite dramatic lah. So that's the nickname that we have given. So I'm actually just going to talk about Season 2. Okay, so talk about who's who, the witnesses presented. Okay, and then I am going to concentrate on a few witnesses, especially, okay, this is the ASP Ho Cher Hin, then the head investigator Tan Pit Seng, Dr Jipson Quah, and then it was back to IO Ng Shiunn Jye, who was recalled, and then what's next. Okay, so the whole disclaimer stands. I just want to present factually what has happened. And as you know, there has already been about 2 articles, one by CNA and the other one by Straits Times. Okay, CNA one is actually on March 12th, and the Straits Times one was, I believe, on Friday, March 14th. Okay, so who's who? So I'm one of the accused. I'm an activist. I'm a founder of Healing the Divide. Okay, co-accused is Dr. Jipson Quah. He's accused number 2, medical doctor, and he's a director of 5 labs and 4 clinics. Okay, and accused number 3 is Thomas Chua, which is who's a clinic assistant to Dr. Quah. Okay, so next. Alright, and next is my lawyer. My lawyer is Mr. Wee Pan Lee. Okay, and the lawyer of Dr. Jipson Quah is Mr. Adrian Wee, also Wee. So they are Wee and Wee. Okay, and we have DIY lawyer Thomas Chua. Okay, so that's the part. Okay, the prosecutors. We have lead DPP Kelvin Chong and 3 more from AGC, Johannes Ng, Theodus Tan, and Timothy Ong. I don't have their photos, so I just put it there. Okay. Then we have the judge is District Judge Paul Tran, who has got very good credentials. Let me just read a little bit of his credentials for everybody to hear. So Judge Paul Tran was the Regional Deputy President of Asia and the Pacific of AOJT from 2018 until his appointment to the Board of Executives in 2022. He is a criminal judge of the State Courts of Singapore. He was appointed District Judge of the Republic of Singapore on 1st June 2009 and subsequently Assistant Registrar of the Supreme Court of Singapore on 1st April 2013. He was Executive Director of the Singapore Judicial College from 1st February 2018 to 31st May 2024, as well as Acting Dean from 1st January 2023 to 31st December 2023 and remains a college governor. He is also a Fellow of the Commonwealth Judicial Education Institute and an Adjunct Associate Professor at the Faculty of Law, National University of Singapore. Judge Tran read for a Bachelor of Laws at the National University of Singapore and graduated with first-class honours. He then read for a Master of Laws at Harvard University and was the Dean's Scholar for International Commercial Arbitration. Prior to his judicial appointments, Judge Quan clerked for former Chief Justice of Singapore, Yong Pang Hao, and the Court of Appeals of Singapore. He also undertook a stint as a Deputy Public Prosecutor. He is admitted as an advocate and solicitor of the Supreme Court of Singapore and as a solicitor of the Supreme Court of England and Wales. Okay, so got many achievements, and I would say we are all quite pleased with him. He's very polite and very respectful to everybody, to all the accused and so forth. Seems quite kind. Okay, so next. Okay, we are currently in what is called an ancillary trial, which is like a trial within a trial, and Dr. Jipson is challenging 6 out of 8 of his statements given during January 2022 remand. Okay, and these ancillary trials is here to seek to find out if Dr. Jipson Quah was under any threats, inducement and promise when he was giving his statements. Okay, so December, day 1, the trial started, and then after that, the lawyer say, okay, for statement 3 to statement 8, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, they are contesting, say that cannot admit because of the presence of threats, inducement and promise. So these ancillary trials is to determine whether he was under these 3 things. Okay, so far so good. Everybody understand? Okay. So, day 5 of the ancillary trial. So on March 4th, we heard 2 witnesses. The first one is Dr. Lim Pei Lin. Dr. Lim Pei Lin is a doctor from IMH, because when we are in remand, if we are not well, the first place that they will actually send us to is IMH. Okay, so she was the attending doctor at that time when Dr. Jipson went to IMH, which is on the 24th of January 2022. Okay, so basically she attended to him. Okay, later maybe I will share some interesting things or so lah, okay, that you can that I will share with you. Okay, then the second witness was Dr. Ng Yu Yi. Dr. Ng Yu Yi is the doctor that was actually the doctor at the lockup. So basically, to go to IMH, you need to see the doctor at the lockup, and then basically if you are not well, and then you tell them, then basically then you can go and see more. Then he will maybe recommend for you to go and see the doctor in IMH. Sorry, let me just go back. Okay, so far so good. Okay, so let's continue. Good evening, everybody. Okay, I will just continue. I will only answer relevant and important questions. Okay, and if anybody is haters or say bad things, I may kick you out and ban you and block you, so I don't have to deal with your nonsense. Okay, now day 6 was witness number 3 of season 2, which is Tan Wen Xuan, and he is a police officer. He's in charge of the lockup because we were shown movement logs of the lockup. And then witness number 4 is David Koh, this other guy who is in charge of the security system. He's in charge of the access card system at the lockup. Okay, so that was day 5 and day 6. Okay, anyway, let me go back a little bit. Okay, so basically we heard these 2 doctors, and Dr. Jipson is basically also saying that on this day he actually was a bit suicidal because he had, I mean, it's the first time. I mean, it's pretty intense. Okay, if you have ever been arrested, you know that it is very stressful. Okay, we were handcuffed for the first time, and then we had to go to lockup. We had to sleep on the floor, and it's like your life changed. Okay, so basically he was very stressed, and he thought about committing suicide. But because he is also he knows how to do pathology, and basically I guess he knows how to do autopsy, so he knows that if somebody were to commit suicide, alright, the body needs to be autopsied, and he didn't want any of his friends to have to do the autopsy on him. That's why in the end he decided to put it aside and then went to see the doctor at the lockup, Dr. Ng Yu Yi, and then Dr. Ng Yu Yi said, okay, you want to go to IMH? Then he went to IMH. Okay, and so over at IMH, he was able to talk to Dr. Lim Pei Ling, who basically asked him how he is and so forth, even talk about the newspaper article. And I think Dr. Lim Pei Ling also called the girlfriend and managed to allow him to talk to her or something like that. Okay, so that's why I can remember. Okay, so these 2 is more to confirm his state of his mind, how it was like during the lockup. Okay, on the 24th of January. Okay, so next, on day 6, which is the second day of the season 2 trial, we had this I think I can't remember his rank, okay, but anyway, he was one of the staff of the lockup, Mr. Tan, and also witness number 4, David Koh, who explained about the card access system and so forth. So the movement log of the people in remand is actually tracked, and the movement is tracked when we are in the lockup and we are being moved to the interview room, when we get our meals and so forth. So there were a few times in which Mr. Tan said that he cannot review certain information due to the fact there is some privilege or security things. For example, when we ask him, what time did you finish shift on that day? And he didn't answer. He just says privilege and can answer. So, but never mind. Okay, it was important, but I guess the defense didn't want to push it that much. Okay. So of course, then the next one was this Mr. David Koh, who talked about the system, how accurate it is, and how I suppose it's accurate, right? It's quite hard not to be accurate. The security system has a timestamp on it, so there are many places, as you can imagine, that requires the card to go to access. Okay, is Dr. Lim Pei Ling the wonderful psychologist doctor? I guess she was quite alright. She was quite detailed in her notes. She took a lot of notes about what happened. Okay, so that, okay, these are quite okay. Next, on day 7, which is March 6, we had ASP Ho Cher Hin. Now, ASP Ho Cher Hin is the supervisor of the lead investigator, IO Ng Shiunn Jye, okay, who was in charge of Dr. Jipson. So why was he there? Because he was there to basically give his testimony regarding the meeting between Dr. Jipson Quah and H.I. Tan Pit Seng. Okay, according to him, Dr. Jipson is the one who requested to see the supervisor, and that's why H.I. Tan went to see him. Okay, of course, Dr. Jipson disagreed, and the lawyer also reminded the court that this is not what Ng Shiunn Jye said. Okay, so IO Ng in December actually said that H.I. Tan wanted to meet Dr. Jipson to ask him about his welfare. Okay, that was a story in December. But when ASP Ho took the stand, he said, oh no, it was because Dr. Jipson wanted to see the supervisor, that's why H.I. Tan went down. Okay, so then the lawyers asked, I think it was Mr. Adrian Wee asked him, okay, that's a little bit weird, right? So he said, okay, so according to him, okay, Ng Shiunn Jye came up to the office in which ASP Ho and H.I. Tan were there. And there was a request saying, oh, Dr. Jipson Quah wants to see the supervisor. Then, without saying a word to H.I. Tan, okay, so Mr. Wee said, did you ask this Ho Cher Hin, did you then ask H.I. Tan to go down? He said, no, I didn't ask him to go down. I mean, you just bear in mind, okay? If Dr. Jipson wanted to see the supervisor, it's actually ASP Ho who has to go and see him. Am I right? Because he's the supervisor. But he didn't go and see him, but instead, H.I. Tan, okay, on his own accord, without anyone asking him, just decided to go down and see Dr. Quah. Okay, this is according to Ho. Because he said, so we said, did you ask H.I. Tan to go? No, I didn't ask him to go. So he decided to just go down by himself. Yeah, I suppose. Okay, so did he tell you about this meeting? Oh, no, I didn't know about this meeting. H.I. Tan is the boss. Yes, he is the big boss in Cantonment Police Station. He is the third man. Okay, the third highest ranking. He's the head of investigations, which means that all the IOs have to report to him. So how far away is H.I. Tan. Okay, so Ng Shiunn Jye. So that's Ng Shiunn Jye. Okay, and then there is Ho Cher Hin. So Ho Cher Hin is the supervisor of Ng Shiunn Jye. Okay, and now H.I. Tan is actually Ho Cher Hin's supervisor. So supervisor. That's how far he is. So the big boss went to see Dr. Quah. So that's Ho's version of what happened. And when they say, so did you know anything about this meeting? Oh no, I don't know anything. Did anyone tell you about this meeting? Oh no, no one told me about the meeting. Alright, yet it's not secret apparently. Okay, so so that was Ho Cher Hin. Alright, next. So day 8 is March 11. Okay. Oh, by the way, one more thing is that it seems like all these police officers have very bad memory. They always say, I can't recall. So when they did another I can't recall, the lawyer said, Mr. Agent Wee asked them, you can't recall meaning it may or may not happen, and you can't recall or it didn't happen. He said, yeah, it may or may not happen, but I can't remember. Okay, so day 8, March 11. Of course, this was a moment that everyone was waiting for because it's a big shot, right? Who's on the stand. And everyone wants to know why he is talking to Dr. Quah. So according to him, because everyone was so busy, including ASP Ho, that he just took his own initiative and went down to see Dr. Quah. So, okay, the Rolex part is very interesting. Because he kept on saying, I can't recall, and then the lawyer, Mr. Adrian Wee, said, you can't recall, is it because... Okay, wait, how come there's something on the screen? Okay, so he can't recall. So, what Mr. Adrian Wee said, yeah, he had to go to the district court for the trials. Okay, we were at court 15C. Okay, so anyway, so the story of the Rolex is like that. Then Mr. Wee said, H.I. Tan, do you own a Rolex root beer? and then H.I. Tan said, what's the relevance? He was a bit upset lah. Then Mr. Wee said, you don't get to ask me that. And then he said, that's for the DPP to ask. Then of course DPP started waking up and said, oh yeah, what's the relevance? And then Mr. Wee said, well, I'm going to ask the witness to leave the courtroom so I can explain to the court why I need him to answer the question about the Rolex watch. So he goes out, and everybody is waiting very anxiously for the answer. And he says, you see, Your Honor, unlike H.I. Tan, who can't seem to remember many facts about the meeting, my client, Dr. Quah, can remember vividly what happened, including the fact that he was wearing a Rolex root beer watch. So I just need him to confirm whether he owns this watch. Okay, so everybody was like, alright. And in he comes back to the courtroom. And then he has to... So then the judge said, alright, Mr. Tan, you can answer the question. So Mr. Wee says, do you own a Rolex root beer? And his answer is, yes. Then the second question, do you own more than one Rolex watch? And the answer is yes. Do you remember wearing your Rolex root beer watch at the meeting? Okay, I really can't recall what he said, but likely it was a yes. Okay, so it was rather interesting. Okay, and of course we continue asking him how long does he think this meeting was. According to him, it was likely 15 to 20 minutes. So then we said, but his access card shows that he was actually at the basement area for 1 hour 50 minutes. 1 hour 50 minutes. So Mr. Wee asked, so where did you spend the rest of the time if the meeting is just 15 to 20 minutes? He said, I was sitting around waiting for Dr. Quah to be there so that I could talk to him. Then Mr. Wee said, oh, you mean your subordinate was letting you wait more than an hour to speak to the accused? Then he said, yeah. I mean, personally, I don't believe that. Okay? Usually, when your big boss is going to see somebody, do you think you will let your big boss wait around for so long? But that is just my interpretation. Okay? So, how did this end? Raymond, you got anything to add about this meeting when you come? No? Huh? Okay. So, let me just continue. So, the whole thing was when, and then there was also one more question that was quite interesting, which the defense asked is that is there any police that is in the courtroom in the last few days leading up to his testimony? And the answer is yes. Okay, I do not know whether they were reporting to him or he's being investigated or what. I really don't know. Okay, but I really hope that the Singapore Police Force takes this very seriously, because for him to talk to the accused is a very rare and unusual meeting. In fact, I would even say it's inappropriate that he's talking to the accused directly. Okay, next. So, I think the cross of Mr. Tan ended around 4:30, and the hardworking judge says, let's continue. We are not going to waste any precious time because he probably knows that there's still a lot to cover. And so Dr. Jipson took the stand on day 8, which was March 11, at about 4:30. And his lawyer started asking him some background questions. And one of the things he revealed is that at that time, he was the director of 5 different medical labs. So he had a full-time job as a lab director, a medical lab director, and he was running 4 clinics. Okay, so he was running 4 clinics. So you can imagine how busy he is. Then, of course, I mean, it's already been revealed that he has a wife, he has a girlfriend, and he's got 4 children. Okay, 3 from the wife and 1 from the girlfriend. So I would imagine that he is very, very busy lah. He's a very, very busy guy. Okay, in fact, so busy that I even hardly have much chance to talk to him at all. I only met him once. Okay, once. Okay, in my life prior to the trials. Okay, so I wonder how to conspire like that. Okay, never mind. So then Dr. Jipson of course mentioned that the very important thing is that, okay, what has been revealed also in the MOH trials, in the December trials, and he further continued, is that prior to going to Cantonment, being taken to Cantonment Police Station on the 21st of January, he was in MOH for 1 whole day, okay, in the morning, all the way, all right? He was being interviewed many times throughout the 20th of January by different people. I won't go into it, okay? But he didn't sleep the whole night because he was being interviewed like at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. Okay, and then he was subsequently taken to the Cantonment police station. Okay, so that was like, and then he was being interviewed at 6:55, and he was being interviewed at 9:55. Then he was being and then he tried to sleep a little bit, but of course you can't sleep that well because it's like middle of the day. You sleep on the floor, you're in remand, so you can imagine how bad the situation is. Okay, so according to him, he wanted bail at all times. Okay, and so when they started interviewing him, according to Dr. Jipson, especially with IO Ng, okay, he claimed that he was asked to name the 15 to 17 patients because he had earlier mentioned it in MOH, and he was just asked to name 15 to 17 patients without his medical records. So he had to do a unlucky draw. I say unlucky draw because any patient he picked and gave to the police, these patients would get into trouble, as you can see. Okay, so he said he avoided his family and his friends and did an unlucky draw. Okay, so he just picked 15, 17 names from the list that was given to him. Okay, and at this point, the DPP, Calvin Chong, was of course shocked and said, "What? You mean you just anyhow pick the name and then these people are being charged?" He said, "Yes. That's the reason why he has to do this ancillary trial, because he was asking for his medical records and he was never given his medical records, even up to today. He was given some information about patient list. He was shown invoices. In fact, then he talked about the 3 invoices that was listed. Okay, 3 names from 3 patients. And he said, you can see at the top of the invoice, right? If it's my patient, the doctor reference will say Jipson Quah. But this invoice says doctor, which means that this is not even my patient. Okay? So because he has like 15 to 20 doctors that is looking after the 4 clinics together with him. Okay? So it was pretty shocking to everyone that he had to do an unlucky draw to pick 15 to 17 patients. So he reluctantly did it, okay, because he wanted bail. So it's a bit like the case of the moving goalposts, You thought that after you pick the 15 to 17 patients, right, you'll be offered bail. But who knows? After that, his charges were upgraded to non-bailable. Okay? It was upgraded to non-bailable on the 25th of January, and that put him even more in depression. And he really wanted to have bail. Okay. So let's talk about no lah, he's not in remand. We are all out already. Okay. So let's talk about the day he met H.I. Tan Pit Seng. So he says he met H.I. Tan on the 28th of January. Okay. How come he could remember this day so well? Because at the start of the investigation. So basically, the other thing that happened is this. Okay, on the 28th of January, which is I think a Friday, okay, it started with IO Ng taking statements from him. Okay, it happened at around 4:10 p.m. on the 28th of January. So what happened was that at the start of the meeting, he said that IO Ng showed him a photograph of his 1-year-old son celebrating birthday. Okay, and then he broke down and cried. Okay, because he really misses his son and he really wants to go out. And then he said that IO Ng proceeded to take out some refreshments for him. Then he said, what refreshments? He said he proceeded to take out 2 vacuum-packed bak kwa and 1 can of Olden Landier water. So everybody was shocked. Okay, we're first shocked at the bak kwa, then we're second shocked at the Olden Landier water. So why Olden Landier water? So it seems that when they went for the raid at his clinic to take back some of his records and so forth, there was this Olden Landier water in the fridge in his clinic. And IO Ng asked him, why do you have Olden Landier water? He said, because this is my favorite drink. Why do you like this drink? Isn't it like an old man's drink? Okay, 百花蛇桃水 lah. Basically, the Chinese, you will know, it's called 百花蛇桃水. Said, oh, I like this drink because it's no calories, it's sparkling, and they got herbs which are anti-cancer and anti-inflammatory, and that's why it's healthy and it's my favorite drink. So IO Ng brought Dr. Quah his favorite drink. And seeing that Chinese New Year is round the corner, he also brought 2 packs of vacuum-sealed bak kwa for him. I just want to make a note that this is Dr. Quah's version. Okay, of course, I'm sure IO Ng is denying this. Okay, and then Mr. Wee said, how did he bring it to you? And then Dr. Quah said, I think he put it in a bag, like a cardboard bag, to take out these refreshments for him. So now they proceeded to take the statements. So from 4:10 until about 7 something, and then it was stated that in the statements that there was dinner, and dinner was likely served in the interview room, and the statement finished at 8:10. Okay, this is the first part of the statement. So according to Dr. Quah, he didn't eat dinner in the middle, he only ate at the end of 8:10. Okay, when he finished. So what happened next? So according to him, okay, now what happens is that there's this statement, right? It's typed. So you just imagine you give the statements to the police and it's typed out. Okay, so that ended at 8:10 and it was printed out, and there's another portion that's handwritten, okay, that says that this is the brainchild of Iris Koh. All the things are, by her. Basically, all the bad things are pushed to me. And at the end of the statement, it says 8:20. Okay, handwritten 8:20. So Dr. Quah said it is not 8:20, right? The time is much later, because after the first part of the statements at 8:10, he was brought to see H.I. Tan. And after the meeting with H.I. Tan, then he became very motivated and then came back and wrote the handwritten statement saying that this is the brainchild of Iris Koh, blah, 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 blah. Okay, and said the timing is not 8:20, much later. Okay, so now, that's where the movement records is very important. Okay, we see the next slide first. Okay, and let me just go back first. So the thing is that, okay, I will tell you the last part later, because that one is the most important part about who is telling the truth. Okay, and the who is telling the truth is an answer that can be answered by looking at the movement log of Dr. Jipson Quah moving in and out of the lockup, as well as the access card by HR Tan Pit Seng and IO Ng Shiunn Jye. Okay, let me just continue first, because this part is a very important part. So what he said is that, okay, so then Dr. Quah continued to give the rest of his testimony. He said that after the meeting with HR Tan, he was extremely motivated. He proceeded to handwrite the portion that says this is the brainchild of Iris Koh, okay, and everything gonna push to me. And the statements the day after, in which it was shown WhatsApp messages between me and him, okay, and the police is asking what is the meaning of these messages. That's when he started embellishing and exaggerating and telling lies about what I am basically talking to him. For example, okay, in my WhatsApp message to him, I just said I'm sending somebody to go for Sinopharm. And the police said, what do you understand by this? So I said, oh, I understand that she is bringing people to see me for Sinopharm/fake saline vaccination. Okay, even though I didn't mention the word fake saline vaccination in my WhatsApp, but because he understood with his meeting with HR Tan Pit Seng is that he has to embellish, okay, his statements and make me the mastermind. Okay, that is what he understood from his meeting with HR Tan. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you the very juicy thing. So apparently, after talking about how, okay, he said okay, so the meeting with HR Tan, he said it's more like started with like, okay, how many I mean, basically they were talking about how many labs he his work, his clinic, and then HR Tan asked him how much money he's making, and then he told him, and then he said, well, you're earning more than me at your age, there's no reason for you to do this, right? I said, yeah, there's no reason for me to do this. So he said, is Iris Koh your aunt, your relative, or your lover? And then he paused, and then he said, have you met her? She is old, fat, and crazy. And that's where everybody laughed, including me, okay? Because it's so funny. Because, as you can see, there is no money, there is no sex, okay? So, what could be my motivation for conspiring with him? Okay, so so basically after that meeting, okay, he understood that in order for him to obtain a bail so that he can leave remand as soon as possible, he had to make me culpable, right? He had to push all the blame to me, and he had to just cook up stories, which is what he did the next day. He went back actually to the interview room, okay? So according to the movement log, HR Tan was there for 1 hour 50 minutes, even though he says that he was waiting around for 1 hour, which I hardly believe lah. Okay, anyway, so 1 hour 50 minutes, and spend the rest of the time with IO Ng to wrap up, to basically do the handwritten portion. Okay, and then he was taken back to the lockup at 11:32 p.m. Okay, so from 4:10 p.m. to 11:32 p.m. he was with IO Ng Shiunn Jye. That's almost 7 hours. Okay, he was with IO Ng Shiunn Jye for almost 7 hours. And IO Ng Shiunn Jye's movement log also shows 11:32 p.m. and he denies that he is with Dr. Jipson until 11:32. So then people ask him, how can that be possible that you're not with him until 11:32? I mean, okay, the other thing is that if the interview finishes, then would you just sit around with the accused and talk? I mean, basically you won't, right? I mean, you're probably busy. Why would you sit around with the accused for nothing and just be passing time and chit-chatting, is it, in the interview room? That is very, very unlikely and almost impossible. Okay? So yeah, so later on I will share with you the other part. Okay, so the other important things. So basically he talked about the interview with, the meeting with H.I. Tan, and then he was also, after his lawyer asked him questions, it was followed by the cross of the DPP, Calvin Chong, who asked him a series of questions. Okay, I mean, it was pretty long. He was on the stand for about 3 days. Okay, in the witness stand for 3 days, and a majority part of it was the cross by the DPP. And DPP asked him, well, if you claim that you were coerced or wanted bail, how come in February, March and April, after you came out of remand and you went to MOH, you still continue to put Iris under the bus? Then he said, well, because the meeting that I had with H.I. Tan is supposed to be secret and I'm not supposed to tell anyone. In fact, I was told never to tell my lawyer also about this meeting. Okay, so then so finish the cross of DPP Chong. In fact, then after that it was my lawyer's turn. So Mr. Wee Pan Lee asked him questions. Okay, so asked him a series of questions regarding some like D-dimer test. Can you explain what's a D-dimer test? Can you explain what's C-pass? Can you explain this and that? Okay. Then also Mr. B said that if somebody were to take a D-dimer test, alright, could it be that is one of the ways in which you can find out if somebody is vaccine injured? He said, yes, it's possible. So that was one of the questions that was being asked. Okay. Then my lawyer asked him, why now? Why are you changing your statements now? Okay, so he said, I'm trying to remember, okay? It may not be word for word what he said. So he said that he has been living with this guilt of putting so many people in trouble. I mean, the patients plus me, and already one patient went to jail, which is David Christopher Newton, and he, as a doctor, he should have been protecting them, but he didn't, and he feels very guilty. And he says that all the patients are vaccinated. Okay, so that is his testimony is that all the patients are vaccinated. He said Iris Co is not the mastermind because I am the doctor. These are my clinics. Majority of patients are mine. Even though he has accused and said that all the patients who went there for fake vaccines are from Healing the Divide and so forth. But it's impossible because between July and in January, he estimated that there would be at least 10,000 patients that would have been there, and I would not have sent 10,000 patients there to see him. So it's impossible that, and so he said that, so my lawyer said, so you put Iris under the bus because of your bail? He said, I put her under a tank. That's when he said, I put her under a tank. Okay, and I was selfish. He admitted that he was selfish, and he regretfully regret what happened, and that he wants to make things right. Okay, that's the reason why he's doing this, even though it may increase his culpability, but it's time that he take responsibility for what happened. Okay, and of course it was a very dramatic moment. Very, very dramatic, as you can imagine. Okay, and I almost cried also lah, because I've been living with this for the last 3 years, almost 3.5 years, and to basically to have him say the truth on the stand, that was really something. Okay, and I think he had a lot of courage, and I thank him for setting things right. Okay, so that none of the patients will be blamed, and I won't be blamed, and that the truth will prevail. Okay, so this is the dramatic thing that happened. Let me just continue. Okay, so then after that, it was Thomas' turn to cross him, and one of the questions that Thomas asked him is, at that time during COVID, okay, were the patients wearing masks? He said yes, it was compulsory for all the patients to wear masks, including when they saw the doctor, on one-on-one consult. So Thomas said, so did you see any of the faces of the patients? Said a lot of patients, he never even see the face. Okay, so how is he supposed to pick out who he gave the supposed fake saline vaccination to? So can you see how it is becoming very ridiculous? Firstly, he had no medical records. He had to do an unlucky draw from the name that he was given, and he also can't recognize the faces of most of the patients who came to see him and cannot remember the face, right? And he was asked to identify the faces by the police. Okay, so this was what happened. It was pretty dramatic. Okay, and let's continue. Anything you want to add?
No.
Okay, so I'm going to go to the next part. Okay, so after Dr. Jipson was being crossed by the DPP, by my lawyer, and by Thomas, okay, the defense, recalled IO Ng Shiunn Jye again. Okay, there was some special permission, because usually after a witness finish, not supposed to call them back. But because we needed to confirm the information, because in December, when IO Ng Shiunn Jye was called to the stand, there was no movement log and no SS pass to verify certain information. So call him back again. Okay, and this one is very important, because it's to see whether who is telling the truth lah. Okay, so according to the movement log, IO Ng Shiunn Jye was up at the office at 8:19. So remember earlier I told you that the handwritten portion finished at 8:20? So how can it be that he can suddenly, just imagine, according to him, he was talking to Dr. Jipson, taking his statements, okay, and then suddenly at at 8:19, he was up in the office because the access card shows that he was in the 3rd floor. And then he was down again at 8:25, which is almost impossible because the handwritten portion finished at 8:20. Okay? And then he was down again at 8:25. So do you think it's possible or not possible? That's why women make a joke. Okay? The joke is that wow, he's like Flash. You know the character Flash from Marvel? Okay, I'm just going to play this thing for you to see. Okay, I'm actually running low. Okay, so this is what happened, okay? So this was all very, very funny, okay? And by that time, I would say his credibility is quite low lah. Few people would think that it is really that, okay? So let me, hold on, how do I do this? Okay, I'm almost to the end of my slides already, and hold on. Okay, so at this point, okay, Dr. Jipson's lawyer said, "You're lying on the stand." and DPP couldn't say a single thing and didn't say a single thing because I think it's quite hard to go against the facts of the matter, which is the access pass and the movement log. Okay? And so that night, after the thing finished, okay, we popped a champagne to celebrate. Raymond and myself and our friends. Okay? Because I successfully healed the divide with Dr. Jipson Quah that day. Alright? And we had come a long way to do this. Okay, and so that's basically my story of what happened at the criminal trials this March in season 2. Do you have any questions? Thank you so much. I want to sue the police officers. That's